And she goes, I'm done. This is ridiculous, So, and I was like, well, babe, I mean,
that's law and order calling.
Like, exactly. I was like, don't worry about it, I'll help you clean.
Highway
Don't worry.
patrol. Okay, stop.
Exactly.
You're going too fast.
So, that was a turning point at that point. Not only because of that, but simply because we were just growing at a fast pace where it was the risk was kind of clicking in, like, okay, we need to be careful with this, and the product was going, too many people were talking about it, so we weren't no longer under the radar, that, like they say, we were like kind of like people starting to know about the product. So at that point, we started looking into one of the two things: either get a co-packing facility, somebody to do the product for us, or we pack it ourselves. So then once again, I go out there on the drawing board and I start researching, how can I package my own product? And sure enough, I went out and I purchased fillers. I purchased tanks. I mean, I was like, screw it. Let's just go ahead and just make it ourselves. Okay, good. And I remember we got our first our warehouse, which is located in Redlands. And that was going to be my facility. That was going to be my manufacturing facility. And I got so excited because we had enough money to go ahead and purchase all this equipment. Well,
money produced by the sales.
Right. And
so you were reinvesting. You were not taking anything for food or whatever.
No. Everything was just for the business.
Yeah.
And as much as I wanted to, though, because it got really tempting.
But let me stop you there, because many people, that's the opposite. They take the money and they start traveling, or they buy a new car. So you were reinvesting the money into
that's something we did not do.
And that's a lot of discipline. It takes discipline.
Oh, no, trust me. It was, there was times where I'd walk out of a store with, $5,000-$6,000, you know what I mean? Because the sale was so huge and it was all cash.
You still working 9 to 5, or you quit already?
This is my go-to. This is my job. And it's been for.
So when did you quit your job? At that moment when you.
Yeah, so
lease the facility, or
I don't want to mention the job. But,
no, of course.
There was a job that I was a truck driver for a company for a very long time, 13 years, and I swore that company. I mean, they took real good care of me. That was a real good company to work for, but I just got tired of it, and got tired of working for that company. Well, I just got tired of doing the same thing over and over again, and so I got myself into law enforcement. And it was a special kind of law enforcement, which I don't want to say on the line because,
of course,
So, and unfortunately, after I got everything done, everything was ready to, take off and everything, I started realizing that it really wasn't for me. So then I got out and I took a layoff and basically was going to go back into truck driving. Well, when I realized that I was going to go back into truck driving, my mental, I just wasn't prepared to go back to doing the same thing I was doing again. And my wife, she really supported the fact that we were doing this, Ojo Rojo, at the same time as I'm working. But, she knew that I wasn't happy going back as a truck driver.
Your passion wasn't there.
Right. So then she's like, one day we're sitting on the couch and she simply asked me, she goes, what do you think about this Ojo Rojo? Do you think it's going to work? And I said, you know what? I think it will. And, we've always been extremely blessed. We've always been very fortunate to have good jobs and good paying jobs. And so at that moment in time, my wife says to me, well, why don't you do this? Dedicate yourself with Ojo Rojo. I'll take on the responsibilities here at the house. And that to me was I couldn't ask for any.
That's a real partnership.
Yeah. I couldn't ask for a better partner at that point. And I was like, are you sure? She goes, don't worry about it. We were going to get a little tight. He goes, but we'll make this. But she made me promise her. She goes, but make this work. And I was like, okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you started producing or bottling your own
so
products.
At that point,
you bought the machines. And
right.
All that.
So at that point, when we took this serious and it was no longer a quote unquote hobby, and so we took it serious. So we're like, okay, so let's take it to the next level, see what we need to do. And sure enough, we went out, we searched, and we did everything what we had to do. And I started, like I said, Google. How did I do this? How do I do that? And I was mimicking. I like to look at other companies, other successful companies that are successful today. And one of the ones that I kept looking at was, like, for instance, Coca-Cola. I read their history, Tapatio hot sauce. I read their history and how they started. So I said to myself, I was like, okay, if these guys are doing the exact same thing, it was real simple. It really wasn't hard. I was like, I'm going to do the exact same. I'm going to follow that same model that they did.
So at what moment you realize that you need to have a formula that needs to be approved for human consumption?
So
because that's tricky.
Right. So then from that point on, that's when we decided, we're going to manufacture it ourselves. So I went out, we bought all this equipment, got all excited, And,
how much did you spend?
Oh, it was close to, aside from the building, we spent close to, I want to say about $65,000, $70,000.
All your savings?
Pretty much. And then on top of that was the warehouse, where we had to make it into a clean room, get it all, all the specifications, everything had to be, the way, the FDA needed to prove it.
Right.
So then we started realizing that it was going to cost a whole lot more money than just buying the equipment and turning this room into what they call a kitchen or a clean room to operate. And that's when I realized, it's like, man, I think I made a mistake. That was my very first mistake right there, is going out and just going out of the limb and purchasing all this equipment. And that
was impulse, probably.
Yeah, it's exactly what it was. It was all impulse. It's like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. What else do I need? Oh, you know what? Let's buy a 200-gallon tank and do, it was just, it was crazy. And that was by far probably one of the biggest mistakes I did. Not mistakes, because you obviously learn from that, but it was a costly move without actually doing the real research behind it.
You can call a mistake if you analyze it and you find out that, yes, I made it wrong, now I want to fix it.
Exactly.
And I made it good. So
Perfect.
there's nothing wrong with, making mistakes.
So then the FDA guy, it was a friend of mine, and he was guiding me, and he flat out said, he says, look, he goes, do you have $150,000, maybe $200,000 laying around? And I said, no. And he goes, well, that's how much it's probably going to cost you to actually make what you want to do, this clean room. I was like, are you kidding? He goes, no. And he was consulting me too. Real nice man. I really owe him a lot as well, because he guided me to a certain point. And then he directed me to a co-packing facility, and that was based out of Newport Beach. And he goes, hey, I know of a co-packing facility. He goes, he's not doing too well, is how he put it. But go talk to him. Maybe he'll buy the equipment off of you. Okay. So there I go. I shoot over to Newport Beach, and I go talk to this guy, and we start talking. And before you know it, hey, you know what? I got this equipment, man. What do you think? Yeah, bring it. And then sure enough, I brought my fillers. Then before you know it, my tanks, my sinks. And then before you know it, he's using all my equipment. So then I was like, okay, cool. He started filling out my product. Now,
Did he buy it?
Well, that's later on. So what happened was, at that point,
So you were like 70,000 in the red, basically, because you were using all your savings.
If not more, but it was around there, yeah. And then basically it got to that, he was the one that gave me the formula. We created a formula where now it was shelf stable, not shelf stable, but now the product can last 3 months. So that right there was the turning point of the next level of my success.
Yeah, because the formula, not the exact formula, but you have a labeling also.
Right.
That you have a labeling procedures, so that protocol that you have to follow.
Right.
So who was showing that? Who was teaching that?
The co-packer was. So he guided me. He was kind of like a mentor, and he says, "Look, you need to do this, you need to do this, and do that." Okay, cool.
So you had two mentors at this point.
Yeah.
The guy,
the FDA guy,
the FDA, and now the co-packaging
and the
owner.
And
the main mentor was your wife.
Right. Yeah. Partnership, best friend, everything.
Best friend, boss, worst boss ever.
No boss. I'm the boss.
Okay, you're the
boss. So anyways, so that right there, the first co-packing facility, which was based out of Newport Beach, that was a turning point of taking the product to the next level. Now I was able to calm down a little bit, breathe, because I didn't have to worry about making sure that I sold a product within a day or two. So that took a lot of weight off my shoulders.
Who did your marketing, or still word of mouth?
It was still word of mouth. Word of mouth and Instagram. Social media.
Social media.
Yeah.
Who did it? You yourself?
Yeah.
You designed it. You were the creative and all that. So you have different hats.
Yeah.
You wear different hats in that.
At this point now, I'm wearing 2 or 3 hats, and believe me, now I'm wearing like 100. But so, anyways, yeah. So that when I got to my first co-packer, they went ahead and that was the turning point of where I was able to breathe a little bit and to say, okay, now I can not worry about having to sell this product so quick. Now I can start building up volume and inventory.
How did you get to retailing? Are you in any major retailing store?
Oh, yeah. So
tell me a couple of them.
The Stater Brothers, Northgates, Vallarta Markets, Total Wine.
How do you get to them? Knocking doors, or they call you?
They call me.
That's awesome.
It's been awesome.
What's your advice for any person that is listening and trying to get into the retailing food market? Persistence
and patience. Because now, okay, although these big like Stater Brothers, they call me on it, and it was really easy to get in there. Once they call you, it's because they're interested, and that part is easy. I mean, all you got to do is present the product, boom, bam, and you're good to go. But you don't want to just stop there. You want to keep growing. So, you want to start knocking on doors too. I got Save Marts up north, which, a lot of people were requesting the product up Northern California, and I don't know who to talk to.
So what do you think is the real secret of your success and growth? The product quality, your smarts in social media because you're a nice guy. What's the secret to success?
I think it's a combination of everything, of what you said. Mainly, I think my ultimate secret of my success, to be honest with you, is that I'm very patient. It's patience and patience.
Yeah, because you launched it as a company in 2012. Now it's 6 years.
Right.
On the road.
Not gonna lie. There was times where it's like, oh man, we made it. And I had patience and just got to be smart financially.
Organized.
I don't know about organized. I'm not too organized, but it's
conservative.
Conservative.
How do you call it?
Yes, there you go. That's a perfect way of putting it. Conservative, because a lot of the times, I'm not gonna lie, there was plenty of times where I thought like, oh, we made it. We're going.
Honey, let's go.
Yeah, let's go spend some money.
Yeah.
No, and there was times where there was a couple of mistakes that I made. It's like, man, he goes, we got money. You know what I mean? And no, that was a total mistake because I really paid for it, a month or 2 months after. And it's like, oh man, remember that money I spent? We shouldn't have spent that money, or we shouldn't have spent it on this or on that. There's balances. A lot of balances.
So how could you describe the status of your company as of today?
The status as far as
growth, where are you standing at this point?
We're just getting started, to be honest with you. We're just getting started. Southern California has been excellent. I couldn't ask for a better support that I get from Southern California. Just great, but that's just Southern California.
Of course, you have the whole country.
We have the whole country.
You went from making bottling yourself at home, and now you are what, 30,000? How many thousand of bottles a month?
Right now we're manufacturing anywhere between every other month. We went from, just put it this way. We went from 3 14-gallon tanks to 1 250-gallon tank to 2 250-gallon tanks, which was manufacturing 500, and now we're at 5,000. And then, so that's 5,000 gallons that we're manufacturing.
That's an impressive growth.
And so there were steps that I had to take from, as I mentioned, the first co-packer. We outgrew that kitchen, went to a bigger kitchen, outgrew that kitchen, and went to the kitchen I'm currently at right now. And we're at 5,000 gallons.
So who managed the purchase of the products?
Accounting. I hired an accounting firm.
Who is the source? Where do you get the tomato and all that stuff?
Same. The co-packer. We some of the co-packers like to deal with